Namaskar, Pandit. Today we're talking about what if you never gave up on you? And this is a very interesting topic for me at this moment because I found something super fascinating. I caught myself in a moment in the past couple weeks where I'll give you the exact thing that happened. So many times in my life it has occurred, and this particular example just beautifully helped me see what I've been doing in my life. Is that you know how there are whispers of possibilities that speak to you? Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that there are whispers of possibilities, and these sparks of, sometimes they come up as sparks of ideas, sometimes they come up as just a space of being, but they're like these possibilities that you're aware of, like what's truly possible in the world, and what really can be, what could be another way to be with things and in the world. And so I've always had this sense of, oh wow, possibilities, and I will get really excited about them. And oftentimes when you're interacting with possibilities, they come to you in a form of a download. So you have so much information and you're bubbling with possibilities, and you're like, this and this, and we could do this and we could do that, and this is possible, that's available. And that's a space that you're in. That's also actually a very nurturing, creative space to be in. And all you creators out there, I'm sure you'll get how, when you're in the flow, as sometimes we call it, or in the zone, that's the time where like everything is possible. And you're like swimming in this big, vast, expansive ocean of possibilities. So I was in that space recently. And then I did something that I've often done in my life, based on which I just realized very recently that I give up on me, which is I shared. I shared about that possibility with somebody, and I instantly realized in that moment, because I was in this expansive zone, and then suddenly there was this. And I was present and aware enough this time to really look at and ask, what really just happened? Because this is a very familiar energy for me, wherein, I'm in this space, and then suddenly I'm like, whoop, from this ocean of possibilities, as I like to call it, I'm like suddenly in this pool of impossibilities, and I'm like grumpy and irritated and stuff. 100% of the times what I find for myself, anytime that I'm irritated, is because I've tapped into somebody else's universe. Hello, Empaths Abilities. So I wonder how many of you listening to this right now are empaths, which are basically, highly, highly aware. How much are you in tune to everybody else around you? How much have you always just, known? You just know what's going on, even if someone denies it, even if, the logic defies it. But the question is, do you then trust yourself and continue to be with the possibilities? Or do you give up that which the possibilities that you're aware of, because they were not really received or reciprocated in the same way? And so that's what I've been doing for almost all my life, in all the different areas I can just find myself, how I'm suddenly, it could be something as simple as I'll have this amazing, expansive idea for an evening out or a trip, and I will bring it about to my husband, and he's just in a different space, and he's like, I'll be like, you know what, we could do this, I have this idea, let's do this, let's do that, we could create this, and he'd be like, huh. And what do I do in that moment? Do I continue being that space? Do I continue engaging as that possibility? Or do I give up on it? And I found I had to be really honest with myself when this last episode around this occurred, and I found that I give up. And so how much have you been giving up, I wonder, on that which is possible, because somebody else cannot see it, or somebody else cannot receive it, or somebody else is not in a space to be it. And the real question is, would you be willing to still be that, still engage with that? Because when I realized that this is what I do, that, oh my God, like I'm in this exuberant space of possibilities, and then I share it with somebody, or, talk about it at some place, and I don't really find, because here's the thing, the thing that you're aware of, the possibilities that you're aware of, it's a possibility because it doesn't yet exist. It doesn't yet exist in the way and in the form that you are aware of. And so if you're creating your businesses, or creating anything in your life, if notice, what are you tapped into when you're most exuberant and feeling most alive, and really living from a different space of, I can do this, and like really being productive and creative on an ongoing basis. And just notice how much you're tapped into that energy of possibilities. And then also notice the times when you're not that, and in fact almost the opposite of that. So you're like in this contracted space, and suddenly nothing feels like it's right, or nothing feels like, and feels like, I'm gonna put that in air quotes, and I'm gonna explain why in just a moment, but nothing feels like it's working. You're like, this is, you get into kind of like this rabbit hole of impossibilities. And then oftentimes what I find myself, and this is actually such a common topic that comes up when I'm working with my clients in my client sessions, that nurturing your creative space is one of our most common conversations, how to be in that expansive space where you actually create, and how to nurture that, and how to cultivate trust in yourself, to be that, and to expand through that space. So as I was looking at how much I gave up on that space of possibilities for me, as soon as I share it with somebody and they cannot fully get it, I could just see how much I've given up on that which I know is possible, on my dreams, on things I could have done that I did not do, just because when I talked about it, it wasn't received. But here's the question. Am I truly receiving that which I'm aware of in that moment? Or am I making somebody else's point of view, somebody else's space, somebody else's reality more important, more powerful, more real than me? So this has been a life-changing conversation for me in the past 2 or 3 weeks, that I finally got to see it, that, oh my God, so if I was not giving up on me, what would that look like? And it really took me to even consider all the different angles in terms of, do I have to, like, my favorite mentor, Gary Douglas, right? He often talks about how, don't share. Like, when you share things, you kill the energy of creation. Just create. And I never really got it, I think, until now, until this particular episode wherein I just shared this. And so, well, anyway, the whole thing really led me to look at how much I haven't in my life been trusting me, trusting what I know, trusting what I am aware of. And instead of cultivating that space of lightness, which is true for me, remember, what's true for you is always light, always expansive. What's contractive, what contracts you, what makes you feel heavy, is never yours. It's a lie. It's not true for you, because that's how energy speaks to us. But have you committed to that? Have you committed to truly knowing that that which is true for you will always make you lighter, and always expand your space, and always expand your life and your being? Or do you give up on that in favor of somebody else who's making the heavy more real? Oh my God, you guys, I cannot even tell you how much I've done that in my life. And I feel like, I'm so grateful for this exploration right here, because being conscious living, the exploration, remember? Because here's the thing what occurs. You think that, okay, I'm going to embark this beautiful journey of personal growth and development and conscious being and conscious living, and I want to live more consciously on planet, which is like the stream. That's what I've been leading myself with, that I want to live more consciously, not this, not the way, not this. Like, so much of my life has been around not this, not this. And also, how have your life been around a lot more of not this? And is that one of the ways in which you've been pulling yourself forward to that which you're aware of? Because a lot of times that which you're aware of can have words and a form, and a lot of times they don't. It's just this energy of possibilities. It's just these whispers of what's available, what could be, what should be. A lot of times it comes like that. It shouldn't be like this. Like, come on, why are you living like this? There's something else available. Does life have to be about all the drama and the trauma and the heaviness and the problems? Or is living, true living, something different? And so last time I was here on this show, I told you guys that I was traveling to the Yellowstone National Park, and it was amazing. It was incredible to be in the nature. My favorite thing about the whole experience was there was no network in the national park. So we were literally there for we camped in the national park, which was again an incredible experience. There were like bisons and elks roaming by our camp site and literally behind our tent and stuff. I'll share some pictures here. But my favorite part about this whole thing was that I was forced to be away from the world for a while, because there was no network. And what is the one way in which you connect with the world these days, especially in, the era 2020, 2021, COVID times, blah, 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 online with your phone, with internet and stuff. And that was not available. So it really gave me a very different perspective on everything that I've been asking for in life and how much I give up on it with all these distractions that come up. Now, not to make it wrong, not to make the technology wrong, but it's more about looking at, yeah, this is great and it works. But how much, even with that, how much am I really aggressively, fiercely present with what I want to create and how I want to use it? And how much do I get into that rabbit hole of, just opening up Facebook or opening up Instagram? And then, also what occurs when you do that, by the way, is that the world of social media, the moment you open it, now you are opening up not just your app, but you're opening up your awareness to everything that you're coming across. You become aware, as that's again a gift of being an empath, that you're aware of everything that goes on in other people's world. You're aware of where it's real, where it's not. You're aware of the image thing that is going on. You're aware of insecurities that come up. And I've in fact had this aggressive practice, and I've had to aggressively practice in the past. There was a phase when I would open Instagram and I'd be like drained in insecurities and feeling like I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, until I asked myself a question one day, that how much of this is mine? Oh. So if you ever ask that question to yourself, is this mine? Or am I just tapping into something? And if it starts to open up some space, then that's your indication that it's not yours. You're just aware. Because one thing that we're never taught in this world, which is probably the most fundamental thing about our existence, in even the most fundamental thing about our bodies, is that we are aware. We are psychic as fuck. And nobody tells us that. We're aware, and our body is giving us information at all times. We're aware of, in fact, this is what I learned in Access for the first time when and one of the mind-blowing things that when I looked at how it applies to my life, I found that, my goodness, this is true for me. That 98%, 98.99999% of what goes on in your thoughts, your feelings, your emotion, all that stuff isn't yours. What? Just 2% of what's really going on is mine. Everything else is me tapping into what's going on for other people and what's going on out in the world. And well, how much do I give up on me because I've tapped into that? It's mind-blowing. And what I love the most about this conscious being, conscious living, it's essentially an exploration of consciousness and how to apply presence and principles and there are no principles, but like tools of consciousness in your life, is that I get to see what's really going on. And once you get to see it, you have choice. Because otherwise you're like unconsciously living without realizing what's really going on. And so while you might be in this expansive, exuberant space right now, just because you shared it with somebody, or just because even if you didn't share it with somebody and just tapped into somebody else's universe, and suddenly all that joy and exuberance like zoop, zapped out of you, and now you're like in this contracted, heavy space. But none of that is true. Because what's heavy, what's contracted, is always a lie. So this, as I was looking at, what if I never gave up on me? What if you never gave up on you? I was looking at that, you know, what does it even mean to never give up on me? And then how does it look like? What does it take? What's required of me? What's required of you to never give up on you? And I realized that what it means to never give up on you is basically as simple as always being in question, always being present with the one simple thing that you need to know, which is that everything that's heavy is a lie. Everything that's true is always going to be light for you. So having a strong sense of that, okay, really believing it, like how many times do you even, when you're in the presence of all that heavy and the muck, do you really believe that it's not yours, or just because you can feel it in your body and it's intense and it's heavy and it's dense? Because that's the thing, right? Lightness feels like nothing. It's very spacious. It's like air. Can you see air? Like if I were to say, prove me, there is no air. You cannot. It's just space. But in order for something to be solid and dense, you know, it's contracted. But just because it's contracted and solid and dense and you can quote unquote feel it, does it really mean that it's yours? Or could it be that you're aware? So, you know, really never giving up on you starts with and kind of like plays all along with this awareness of light and heavy. Now, how do you start? I was looking into that and I came up with like 3 things that that was basically my process, in the sense that how I found that, how I caught myself in that moment when I was, you know, giving up on the possibilities, and I tapped into that heaviness and I became cranky and I literally cried. And so I'll just give you my process, like what I did that has been helping me, that I've been using literally almost 24/7. I sleep myself with that, I wake up with that, and I'm really cultivating a different sense of trust in me, and I'm kind of giving away the things that I want to talk about as I'm saying that. Number 1, understand how awareness works for you. Because we're never taught that in this world. Our education has not been about how your awareness works for you. Our education has been about, you don't know anything, so you need to know this, and you should know this, and this is what is, and this is how it is. But is it? And my example, the reason my ADD brain romp happening, guys. The reason I talked about Yellowstone was also because the presence in nature, like being there in nature without technology, like it was not even possible for me to be on technology. I'm so grateful for that. And I wonder, well, what would it take for me to gift me more of that? But like being in that space, being around nature is so nurturing, because it really makes you wonder that where have I given up on that which is the nature of me? And so the first step is to recognize how your awareness works for you. Educate yourself on that. I know that the tools of Access Consciousness have deeply helped me understanding how education works. Find whatever it's going to be for you. If you want to know more about Access, hit me up. I'd love to chat and share with you what's available and where you could start. We could just explore possibilities. But first step is always to understand how your awareness works, because it's different than anything you've been taught, and it's different than anybody else's. Number 2, and I'm saying it 1, 2, and 3, but there are no steps here because it's all very, it's spherical. It all goes together. So number 2 is catching yourself in the heavy moments, or in the moments when you're in that contracted zone, which is exactly so educating yourself first, knowing, having information, then be catching yourself when you're doing it. And so for me, for example, in this particular example, it was about when I caught myself in that moment where I realized, wait a second, I am giving up on this possibility that I'm aware of because somebody else cannot receive it. Like this contracted space is not mine. And so if it's not mine, what am I going to be here? Am I going to continue being and choosing that, being reactive to that which is heavy? Or is something else available? So catching yourself in those moments where you're most contracted and heavy is life-changing. Then number 3, which is a big topic, but I'm going to kind of put it up into one statement, which is cultivating trust in you. That's again one of the things that we are not taught in this reality. We're always taught to look outside. We're always taught to do the right thing and to not do the wrong thing, and to make sure we're not making too many waves and we're fitting in, we're checking all the boxes at the right time. But none of that is about trusting you, is it? Like, no one asks you, what do you know? Everybody is ready to tell you this is how it is. So in a world that is more dominant at this point in time with judgments and conclusions and answers, in order for you to live a conscious life, a different life, a life of possibilities that you're aware of, and in order for you to never give up on you, you've got to start cultivating trust in you. Trusting that lightness is what's true for you. Trusting that anything that's heavy is not yours. Trusting that that possibility, that expansive space that you're aware of is available, it's possible, it hasn't existed yet, but I wonder, because it's speaking to you, what contribution can you be to actualizing that on planet Earth? Because yes, the dominant reality right now is judgment and conclusions and answers, but it doesn't have to be. And so in order to change that, in order for it to be something different, it's not even about changing that. It's about just not this. What do you have to be? What do you have to cultivate in you What level of trust is required, and how can you support yourself in ways that you can have it? So, with that, I want to there are a couple of things I wanted to let you know today. One, I'm starting a free Facebook group wherein where these explorations are actually going to go deeper, and we'll see how we play with the tools of access consciousness actually, and a lot more. Because this cuckoo girl right here has spent her life so far studying I don't know how many different things. So I'm actually curious to see how they apply. So the Facebook group is actually called Cultivating Trust in You. The group already exists, but it has no information on it yet. I'll be adding more stuff to it, and this page is going to be the first place I share about when it's ready within this week. And I cannot wait, you guys, to start playing even more on how to cultivate that trust in you and start that everyday exploration, because that's what that group is going to be about. And that's one thing I just wanted to seed it in here. By the time we meet next time, it'll already be there, so I'll share the link right with the video. But before that, you'll hear about it here on this page. The second thing I wanted to talk about, also mention briefly here, is September. Happy September, you guys. By the way, we're in September, the 9th month of fucking 2021. Like, how did that even occur? Anyway, September is the suicide prevention month, or suicide awareness month. And this is a time wherein, there's so many stories in Access Consciousness about people overcoming their struggle with depression and finding a different way of being with themselves, and all their diagnoses and labels and all of that. And I myself have had my own struggle with depression. I could still, to date, by the way, if I'm not present with my awareness, if I'm not present with what is going on for me, if I'm not trusting myself with that light and heavy, and it's easy for me and anybody to conclude that I'm depressed. Because honestly, I am. Anytime I'm not being me, I'm depressed. And how little of that conversation do we have on the planet, that what depression truly is, and how much of what currently exists in the world is so much focused around fixing it. But what I found in Access, what a lot of people find in Access, is going underneath that and asking, what is it in the first place? And asking some different questions, being with it differently, and using different body processes like the Access Consciousness bars that really enormously help you change anything in your life. It's something I have personally been using since I think 2012. Like, it's a regular practice in my household. My husband and I, we trade bars and stuff. So in the month of September, it's Suicide Prevention Month, and October actually is Mental Health Awareness Month. So both in September and October, what's really going on around the world is this campaign called You're Not Alone, because you're not. And through that campaign, there are practitioners worldwide facilitating and offering free bar sessions to anybody to come and experience and see what it is for them, and if it is something that they would like to explore more and see what it creates for you. And so wherever you are in the world, I first of all highly encourage, just Google up Access Consciousness, You're Not Alone. And I'll also post about it here, the links and all of that. But find someone near you. If you haven't yet gotten your bars run, find someone near you. And this is a great time to explore that. And if you live in Seattle area, in the Washington state, or anywhere, and would like to travel to experience the bars with me, I'm offering a free Access Bars clinic here in Seattle on, I think, 24th and 5th of September. That there are time windows and stuff. So there's also that. So if you're in Seattle area, you're warmly invited to just come and experience this amazing bars body process work, which is basically, there are these 32 points around your head that, when gently touched, start to release the electromagnetic charge of all the bullshit that you're carrying, basically. And it's hard to explain in words, but it is so beautiful to receive and experience. So I would love, if you're in this area and this is something that you would like to try, reach out to me. I'll also post about the bars clinic on my page and stuff. But yeah, that, like, I wonder what else is possible and what else is available in the world, and especially in this time of COVID, wherein, the body is made so wrong that what else is possible? What do you know? What do you know about what else is possible in the world now and in the future? And I invite you to explore that for yourself. And I'll be here again next week, and I'll be launching my free group very, very soon. In the meantime, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to write them here. If you like this conversation, please like it, share it, invite your friends to it. I cannot wait to see you again next week. Bye.